Hello everyone, hi Bhuvan's here.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
I do like that again.
Okay, yeah. So we hope that you are doing well and you are having a good day and yeah, so enjoying life. Today we are here to discuss education.
Yes, educational system in Sweden.
So when it comes to education, of course, it's an important subject all around the world.
Yeah.
And the systems a person is brought up by the education system of any country. So we would like to know about Sweden education system. Basically, it's inside and out. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you reckon? Tell us about that, please.
Well, I thought of starting with some kind of his history,
History, yeah.
uh, because yeah, it's quite interesting. I think it's really started with the King Gustav Vasa.
King Gustav.
Yeah. He was the first real king in Sweden, united all the parts of Sweden, and he was crowned, I think, 1523.
Wow.
And he was a big reformer in many areas. And one of the areas was education.
Mhm.
He wanted the Swedish people to be scholared, to read the Bible, for instance. That was only for the priests before in Latin. So that program was that you should translate the Bible into Swedish text. And to his help, we didn't have teachers at that time, but we had the priests. So every priest in Sweden got the assignment to educate the people. And how did they do that? They did that in two ways. When people came to church, the priests preached, of course, and put in those things that was important that he thought for people to learn about. And he also went home to every home and had education with the family. And everything was built up on stories in the Bible, of course. And he also had the responsibility to make the parents understand how important it was for the children to learn, because otherwise the children was very much out working on the fields, even when they were very, very young, 3, 4 years old. They were out working. So that was a kind of ground and start of systematically learning system in Sweden. But it was not until the middle of 1800, I think it was 1848 or something, that we had the first, what do you call it, kind of law that described the content and the necessity of a system built up by teachers. So that was the beginning of building schools in Sweden. And then it was developed, of course, during the years. That's one part, the history, shortly. Nowadays, we have educational system that is built up on 9 years in a ground school. We also have a preschool of 1 year, but you go to school and the first 9 years, you study everything, every subject. And then after those 9 years, you can choose. And most people choose to go further studying in college.
College. Okay.
And in Sweden, we have college that you can choose for 2 years or for 3 years.
In Swedish terms, they say gymnasium.
Gymnasium in
Gymnasium.
Swedish.
College means gymnasium.
Yeah. And for those who want to go even further to university, they need this to choose that college that takes 3 years. Those that take 2 years, there are many lines in that kind of college that you then, when you are finished, can go straight out to work somewhere. But there are many different ways you can choose, both in college and of course in university. We have well, you can say we have college in we have it in every part in Sweden, but not in every area. Not the we have vast areas that they don't have a hospital and they don't have school either. But we have a good system for getting the children from their homes to the nearest school and the nearest college. And university, we have 7 of them from the north of Sweden to the south.
There are big names, right? When it comes to universities in Sweden,
Yes.
big universities.
Yeah, we have 2 universities that are competing of which is the oldest and best and like that. And the one is in Lund. It's in the southeast part of Sweden. And the other one is Uppsala, just above Stockholm. They have a history of, well, I think from the 11th, 12th century.
In Kalmar, we have a renowned university.
Yeah, we also have.
Lina.
Yeah, I think that may be the youngest university in Sweden.
No, it came recently.
Yeah, well, I think it has 10 years or something, but and that's a joint venture between 2 cities. So that university has one part here in Kalmar, the biggest one, and one part in Växjö, which is one of the nearest cities we have. And also, but we have all the different kind of lines that the university should have. We even educate the doctors here in Kalmar.
Oh, great.
Did you know that?
I didn't know. I didn't know.
So at the hospital, we have a lot of students coming for the practice part of the studies.
Great.
Uh,
So that's Swedish
and it's
education
free of
system.
charge.
Oh.
That's also important to say.
Okay.
You also have free school lunch.
Lunch also, yeah.
Yeah, and in preschool you have the breakfast, for instance. So yeah, it's part of the health system we have. But of course it's paid from the taxes we have. And the taxes in Sweden are said to be quite high. But we get a lot of
Benefits.
things back. Benefits, yes.
So that's the Swedish education system as per Sia's view. And if I may talk about Sri Lankan education system.
Yes,
yeah. The structure is we have preschool education, which is not compulsory. You can either admit to preschool or go to straight to grade 1 school. Primary education is from grade 1 to 5. We categorize. Grade 1 to 5 is primary education. And grade 5, we have a scholarship, which that's just a test, an exam. An exam that you can sit and score. Well, the chance of that is for the students from rural schools, they can, if they pass, get through well from the scholarship, they can get admitted to a biggest or best schools in Sri Lanka. That's a scholarship. So it gives a pathway to the child, gets a good score to admitted to a big school in big city. So that's the thing of this.
Everyone wants that.
Exact. So the scholarship is there. From grade 6 to 9, we have junior secondary education. And then the senior secondary education from grade 10 to 11. And it's called GCE O level, ordinary level. So all the things that we have studied from grade 1 to grade 10, you put up on grade 11 GCE O level. You have to study, remember stuff and name it, the subject, science, maths, English and everything.
Big challenge.
Big challenge. So in terms of Sri Lankan education, that's the beauty of it, because as far as I know, other Southeast Asian education and most of the education systems, they have short exams. You study for like 2 weeks or 2 months or 6 months, then you have an exam. In Sri Lanka also, we have exams every year for every grade that you go through. But main exams, we have the scholarship, grade 5, GCE O level in grade 11, and GCE A level in grade 12. In grade 11, you have to put everything, every effort that you have gone through, studied throughout your childhood. And from your childhood, the system practice you to enhance yourself in various, how to think, how to answer, how to think out of the box and stuff. But I'll come back to one option, one reason lacking in our education system also. But after O levels, you have the advanced level, which gives you the pathway to go to the university.
Okay.
So from that, you can choose whatever subject that you want.
It takes you 12 years to come to that point.
So We have government universities that you can get admitted, but you need to score in GCE A level in the stream that you are studying. For example, if you are in maths, if you are in science, if you are in commerce, if you are in arts, we have those kind of classes in grade 11 after ordinary level to GCE A level. If you score well in your maths stream, then you can go into the engineering university. Then you can go to become a doctor to the health university and study medicine.
Yeah.
And then you have arts and commerce
Yeah.
and stuff, etc. Then you can choose your future according to that. Lacking part of our education is our education system is so old, which
Okay.
actually coming from the British. And we have colleges, as you said, gymnasiums, which actually mostly created by the uh, British or Dutch or Portuguese who have actually ruled us. So my school, for example, I studied at St. Anthony's College, Kandy, which
Yes.
is in the center of the country. That school also outcome of British colonization, and it's a Catholic school, a Roman Catholic school. So you have Anglican school and so forth and so forth. And in our education system, our colleges are having mixed college. For example, girls and boys college can study together in particular college. We call mixed college, and we have separate boys and girls college as well. Where I studied, it's a boys college. There were no girls.
But then there are two different things because in Sweden we don't have Swedish boys and girls schools, and we don't have private schools. We also have that are you can say have line of religion, for instance. The ordinary school has nothing about religion to do. We study all religions in those schools. But I have a question. If you don't make it on that test when year 5, what do you do then?
The college that you are studying in your village, the rural area, you can still be in that college and the education system will be the same.
But college is further away, several years
What do you mean?
before going to college.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's the same particular education that you get studied or get you receive the same education in the rural college.
So the scholarship is just for you to make a choice to a better school.
Better school, because you have
Then I understand.
the options. Like when it comes to better school, I mean, in better schools, the sports activities,
I understand.
options, and there are things that even, for example, in Sri Lanka, if you, as I mentioned, I'm from St. Anthony's.
Yeah.
So when you go afterwards your studies, if you go into the society and seek a job, then you might have a good opportunity to get a job as well, because you are from this particular school, and people who have learned, all boys from that school, are in good positions in corporate sector. There are certain.
But that's also kind of different because in Sweden, the educational system up to the 9th year is obligatory. You have a duty to go to school,
Yes.
and the parents can't say no, for instance. But when you have done your 9 years, then you are free to go to any work you want to.
All right.
Or do what you like.
Okay. In Sri Lanka, it's a bit different. It goes with the culture as well. In Sri Lankan culture, education mix up with the culture, because there's a culture. If your relatives, for instance, your relative's child is doing better, your child also need to do better, and there's a competition also. And the parents would, those days, in nowadays, would be more, uh, you know, more like to do well, and they want to compete with the neighbor's child or the other's child.
Yes, okay.
And then they would select the child's subject what he needs to do, rather than child is selecting his own will.
Okay.
So there was issue, but now
Are
it's
still there.
so I hope that it will change, and now it's changing with the young generation and the coming years, because people have.
But I think even in Sweden, some child, maybe quite many, have great pressure from their parents.
Of course.
I think so.
Yeah, we have the same thing. pressure from the parents, pressure from the relatives, and the child is under tremendous pressure, not from the exam, even from the whole bunch of people behind him. So that's there. So it's typical, but that's the culture of us also.
Yeah.
But fortunately for me, it was not like that. I studied, and then my parents actually didn't push me
No.
redo my exams to select or get elected to universities. I chose my own path, and I went through that. And yeah, even my belief is in terms of education as well as knowledge is two different things. Education, you get educated, still you can be an educated fool.
That's right.
But you need to be thorough in.
You meet them quite often.
Exact. You meet them. You need to be thorough. You have to have common sense. You have to have
Yes.
knowledge, not only education. There are people who have degrees, still they don't have practical knowledge.
No, or a kind of social competence.
Exact.
Also, today you have to have that. Life is so much built up on communication and that you work together and like that.
Yeah, and I need to put on that when it comes to Sri Lanka, the literacy rate is 92%. That I'm proud of.
Yes.
Because our main language is Sinhala,
Yeah.
then Tamil and English. But in between Sinhala and Tamil, they prefer to learn English. And
Yeah.
if you go to Sri Lanka tomorrow, you will meet a tuk-tuk driver or a taxi driver who speaks well in English, and you can communicate easily rather than any other country.
Good to know.
And yeah, so it's quite well in terms of education in Sri Lanka. There are things to be polished.
Yeah.
And so we hope that Sri Lankan leaders and the government and people who are, having the administration power would change things in better way. Anything to add, Sia?
Now, maybe in Sweden, the language is Swedish, of course. Then there are it's Swedish, but the second language is English.
But in universities, the universities that you mentioned, they have courses in English, right?
Yes.
For instance, for international
Yeah.
students.
And mainly the books they are reading or in articles they are in English. But then from the seventh year, you can choose a third language. And most students choose German or French, but you can choose any language you want to. And then when you go to college, you can continue that language, but it depends on how many other there are that will have the same language, so they can be a class.
So that's it for today then. And thank you very much for watching this episode and following us. And please keep following us, and please do subscribe and let us know any subject or topic that you would like us to discuss on behalf of you. And we will be also discussing current affairs in future. If you don't understand things that we are saying, there's option, I think, in YouTube as well, that you can put on subtitles. That will help, not 100%, but for a certain extent. And we will be discussing on current affairs in future, the things that are happening in the world, how it would those affect the Swedes as well as Sri Lankans. So, of course, then we'll come back with another episode. Thank you very much.
We will.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye. Bye bye.